Got his word. All right, welcome everybody to today's episode. And today we're tackling a topic that might not be flashy, but just like growing, it's a marketing that you have to do. It's absolutely critical, just like growing in marketing. It's absolutely critical to lay the groundwork of a growing business. Whether in US, Canada, Europe, or anywhere else, understanding the legal side is a key to ensure your business not only grows, but thrives on solid ground. So let's dive into the nitty gritty of the legal permits and the essentials to keep your business safe and grounded. And let me go ahead and also welcome in the co-host as always, Andy. Andy, how you doing today?
I'm doing great. It's been a good week.
Awesome.
Got a lot done.
That's always good. It's been a very busy week for us as well. So getting a lot of stuff done, and seems like we keep on making more and more packs. So that's a good thing, though.
Yeah, definitely a good thing. It's all just been progress on the new space for us. This
Yeah,
week's
how's
going to
that?
be a lot. It's getting there. Tomorrow we should be having the service upgrade put in, which is going to take us from 400 amps of service to 800.
Nice.
And then I should have a plumbing quote and a quote for the drop ceiling by the end of this week. So
Awesome.
things are shaking and moving. I spent all day yesterday running wire and installing outlets and all that kind of stuff. So it's just been a long couple days. But we got a lot done. So it should be a nice progressive week this week.
Good. I'm
Looking
glad you
forward
figured
to it.
all that out for over there in that place. So that's
Yeah.
working for you.
Slowly but surely, we're getting there.
All right. So when you first start out, obviously you're gonna need some kind of permits or licensing. If it's just even being in business, you need a license to be in business and have an actual legal business name and everything else. So acquiring the proper permits to get started is key. So you may necessary permits for agriculture or food permits, depending on where you're at. You may fall under agriculture. I know Chicago land area in Illinois. If you're in that area, Cook County, that you have to have a food permit license to do microgreens, even, and you have to have a commercial facility. So it just depends on where you're at and what you need in area. We had to get a business license with the city, register with the city clerk. They had to put it in the paper, all that stuff, everything else. That's the only thing we needed to get into business and start growing and start selling. We were already growing, but to start selling the stuff and everything else. And then obviously the IRS, get your tax ID identification and your state identification and stuff, so you can register and pay your taxes and be all good and legal. So then you got to get an EIN to do that stuff and everything else. But you don't have to get a business license. You can go sole proprietor to begin with and everything like that. You want to get LLC or some entity as soon as possible, but you don't have to in the very beginning when you're very small. Andy, how did you start out?
Yeah, so we actually we got our LLC before we started, mainly because we just wanted to make sure we were going to be protected legally, just in case, because ultimately you are growing food. So we wanted to make sure we had at least some kind of a wall between our personal stuff and the business and customers. So we kind of rent that route off the bat, just to protect ourselves. It's definitely not something you have to do, but it's definitely a good idea. That and liability insurance are probably your two number one things you want to get to protect yourself.
Yes.
But yeah, we for us, we didn't have to have any kind of food preparation license or anything, like that. I registered us as a farm in our state, which has some benefits. You have more access to the Department of Ag, you have more access to grants, things like that. It gets you on more lists to be able to get that kind of information. But otherwise, it wasn't really that bad in Maryland, Maryland's a pretty ag friendly state, which is kind of nice. So that definitely
Yes.
helps.
Yeah, the ag-friendly states definitely help for sure. Illinois is pretty friendly with ag. It's our number one agriculture. Agriculture is the number one business in Illinois, so it's friendly in that aspect. They got to keep it going and everything else. But yeah, we definitely want to get liability insurance. I'm glad you mentioned that. That is the number one thing you want to do before you start selling is get liability insurance, so you're protected in case somebody gets too happy, like we talked about before. Andy has mentioned. Places to start with all this, obviously go talk to your city hall, see what regulations they might have within your city. Also USDA extension, there can be a great help if you go in and talk to them or make a phone call. We had to make all phone calls when we started because it was 2021. Nobody was in any buildings, so all this was done by phone calls and everything else. And then call your health department, let them know what you're doing. They're probably going to tell you that they don't have anything to do with it. Just make sure that you get them involved, so when they're ready to go, they know you're good on that. Did you have to do anything with the health department or anything, Andy?
Not really. I did reach out to them just in case, but they didn't require anything from us, thankfully. Even in the commercial space, they don't really require anything from us. The only reason we had to get them involved is because we had some things that we were selling in the shop,
Mhm.
like frozen meat and cheese and things like that, that they just have to regulate the temperatures. But now that that's not a thing anymore, it's really simple. They don't have to do anything. The only thing they may try and get involved in, if you have a triple sink put in, or a sink of any kind, they, especially in commercial, they may try and force you to get a grease trap, which is not required for what you're doing ultimately. So be sure to push back on that because it's not a cheap thing to have done. Most restaurants have it because obviously they're trying to keep grease out of the main water lines that
Mhm.
they have, for the sewer. But we didn't. We pushed back. We showed them pictures of the trays before they get washed and everything to show how little debris is actually left on them. And that worked out fine, and they were cool with that. So that's how we were able to stay out of the health department's radar.
We were
But yeah,
lucky. This space
they
had
should
a
get
grease
involved
trap
more.
already installed, so we didn't have to worry about it.
Yeah. Yep. Yep. You will when you clean it.
Yeah, they had to clean it once when we first moved in. It started backing up right away, so I made them clean it
Oh
because
man.
obviously we didn't do that much within a week that
Yeah.
would cause it. But
Yeah.
so they had to come in and clean it themselves. The maintenance guy was not all too happy with that, but
I bet not.
um, also I don't know if you guys know about the Food Safety Modernization Act, the SFMA. May require businesses like us once you get to a certain dollar level. I think we talked about this a little bit in the gap thing, but once you get past that 37,000 annually, or 30,000 if you're 3 year average or whatever it is, they're going to come find you. They're going to come do this stuff for you. And if you don't have that Food Safety Modernization Act class done, they could come and hit you by not having that class done, or require you to get it and pay for it. So you want to get that class done just to protect yourself as soon as possible. Because from what I understand, they're starting at the big farms and they're working their way down. If you got a retail space, I think that's why Andy was probably visited before most of us, because he also had a retail space. So if you have a retail space, you might have that come sooner, but they're coming. It's just depending on when they're going to show up and
Yeah.
knock on your door. So you get that safety done. I think Jess will put a link in the chat if she hasn't already to go to that and get the information on that. But I want to make sure everybody understands to get that training done so you know what they're going to come and look for and hit you on. Because if you ain't making over $30,000 in the last 3 years in this business, you're probably doing something wrong. And if you aren't, get some help. We get you there because that's a
Yeah,
pretty easy number
definitely.
to hit, right, Andy?
Yeah, yeah, definitely. It's not hard at all. We were at that well before we moved into the commercial space, so,
Yes.
it's definitely good. But yeah, I mean, and they will give you warning. It's not where they're just gonna knock on your
Oh
door
no,
and show up and come,
but be prepared.
barging in. Yeah, just be ready for it. But yeah, the more training you can get ahead of time and know what you need to do, and honestly, like if it's your first time they're coming in, they're going to be extremely lenient because obviously they don't expect you to know everything. Like we didn't know we had to keep records. I mean, even though it's a good idea to do, we just didn't keep any because we were just doing it. It was
Yep.
in our tasks, every day in Farm Flow before it became Farm Flow. So then we started building in the record keeping into that system and everything, so that way we could have all that data to be able to give back to them when they come back. So at this point, we can export anything we need for them. So we made sure we built in the minimum requirements for what they needed, and also for what Gap needs as well. So that's why we did that. So
Yeah.
that's the beauty of using FarmFlow. It keeps all that for you.
Exactly. Yes, and it's very nice for that. Keeps track of all your cleaning tasks and all that stuff that you get done. So yeah, that's a very nice thing built into FromFlow that you're not going to probably find in any other software that's going to do for Microgreens
Yeah.
business. So it's very nice to have. Some things you may need in bigger cities. We didn't need it here, but some city states business license may be required. Resale permit may be required. City sales tax. Some bigger cities charge their own sales tax that you might have to worry about if you're selling direct to consumer or farmers market that you might have to collect and pay. We're lucky we don't have that on produce here. But if you're selling anything else that's outside of produce within that as well, say you're selling a kit or something like that, that's going to come with different sales tax requirements and everything else. So just make sure you check on that. Exactly what you need to do. You don't want to get hit on sales tax stuff. That's easy to prevent because you can just charge your customers for it and they're paying for it. You just move that money over to the state or city or whoever. But you don't want to have to come up with that money all at once sometimes when they come knocking. Sometimes it's like 3 years later, they want 3 years worth of stuff. So just be
Yeah.
mindful of that.
And another thing to know is, at least in Maryland, in order to sell kits with seed in them, we actually have to get what's called a seedsman permit. It's $100 a year, unfortunately, and it's what we have to do. We have no choice if we want to sell seed to other people. So just keep in mind for something like that, if you're selling seed in any way, shape, or form, if it's in a grow kit, if it's selling bags of seed to people or whatever, you have to have a seedsman permit to be able to do that. At least in my state. So just make sure you check with your Department of Ag and whoever to make sure that you don't have to have that. So it's something we have to have, unfortunately.
Yeah.
It's so obnoxious, but we sell plenty of grow kits to easily cancel out that $100,
Yeah,
which
that
is
doesn't
good.
take too much, I'm
So
sure. Yeah. That's not
yeah, just them getting their money. That's all.
awesome. All right. Want to go ahead and talk about our sponsor for this podcast, which is Microgreen Business Coaching. And we have a special offer that's out right now. It's ends of January. I really have like 2 or 3 more spots left, depending on some people pay at this great value at $197. The total value of this is $947. You get 2 one-on-one coaching sessions with me, $100 value each, so that's $200. A full course, our full course for 1 month at $97 value. And then you get included in our weekly group Q&As, which are great things to do because there's the group in there talking to each other and everything else, and everybody helps each other. And then all of our resource sheets, they're $650 value. So you can get all that for $197. And there will be a link in the chat here. There you can go there and check that out. So thank you if you want to check that out. And back to the program. All right. So health regulations.
Smooth.
Well, I try.
I know.
There are some health regulations. So you always want to be safety first. Obviously, you are making people's food, as Andy mentioned earlier. This is food. And you realize that you put on there wash before eat. But most people probably are not going to do that. So let's take that extra step to make sure we're doing safety as much as possible on our end from start to finish. So you want to make sure that you're handling all this product correctly. You're, getting mold issues. You're sanitizing your equipment. You're doing all that stuff. Either using a sanitizer dip or a dish machine that's doing sanitizing. Take that extra step to make sure that you're keeping food safe. And when you're handling food, when you're cutting and harvesting, wearing gloves, because you're putting that trade into the package from harvesting, just to make sure it's that extra safe, cutting above the soil line, all the little things you need to do to make sure food is safe. Because the last thing you want to do is get anybody sick for something silly that you do that was easy to take care of. So depending on your location, you might have to have a health department involved. You shouldn't. This is raw agriculture project, but like Chicago, Cook County is crazy, and they want to be involved in everything. So it just depends on where you're at. Luckily, we're not in that area. But food safety is very important to do. Like I said, depends on your local area. But Andy, anything on food safety?
Yeah, I mean, I always try and tell everybody, and I tell my employees the same thing. If would you feed our microgreens to your parents? Would you feed them to your kids? You know what I mean? And if the answer is, well, I don't know, then we're not doing it good enough. You know what I mean? Because ultimately, you should feel comfortable giving these plants to somebody that you love, taking the chance that they could get sick from them. So it's just super important. I mean, you've got hundreds and hundreds of people that you're never even going to meet, especially if you're selling to restaurants, things like that. They've got patrons
Yeah,
coming in every single weekend eating your microgreens. It's just not worth taking the chance. I mean, put the time in to make sure things are clean, things are sanitized. I mean, don't be lazy, because this is a big area where if you get lazy, it can get very dangerous, to the public as a whole. But just put the time in, do it right. That's all that really matters in the end. I mean, it's food. We're producing food. We're producing healthy food. People are eating it because they want to get healthier. The last
yes,
thing they want to do is get sick as a result of poor cleaning and sanitation. So just do it right the first time. Just makes things a lot easier.
for sure.
That's why we push GAP and all that stuff all the time, because it's important to the industry, to
Yes.
be clean and sanitized well. So, yep, that's my soapbox.
I agree. And don't forget about pest control either.
Yeah,
Like
true.
Andy, you're next to a restaurant, I think, right? In your
Yep,
area. So a lot of pests and food hanging around and everything else. So you can have a lot of pests in there. So if you don't have the proper controls, it's much harder to control them once they're in than if you keep them out in the first place. So just start with
yep,
good pest control, having the boxes, have a pest control company. They don't cost that much. I think ours is like $100 a month to do. So it's not bad. It's well worth it. And training your employees, which I know Andy does a great job of that. And that's within the farm flow system as well in there, that you can keep track of that their training was done. I am correct on that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, the training's done on it, and obviously the record keeping that's in there. The when you clean, like we clean out our soil bin that we dump soil in to dip out of once a month, which I think is just fine. It's not even dirty yet, really. It's not nothing, but we just make sure we clean that out once a month. That's in farm flow. I put it in there that hey, this was clean. It comes up now, like every once a month on a Tuesday. It comes up. Hey,
Yep.
you need to clean this. It's awesome. It's
Yeah.
really good.
I love the task feature.
Yes. Don't have to think about it. Once you figure out what you need to do, you put it in there, it just tells you. Um,
Yep.
less thinking we have to do about cleaning, we can think about growing our business. So if that's already in there, that's just so much better for us. So
Yeah,
yeah,
and a little tip for that too, if you've got something that you're only doing like say every 3 months or every 6 months, something that if the day gets past you and you didn't get it done, those like really spread out tasks in farm flow, we actually put them in for Monday through Friday every 6 months or every 3 months. So it's that one task that, nobody's going to want to do, like cleaning the floor drain or something like that.
yeah,
So I put it in for 5 days in a row every 6 months. So that way, if it doesn't get done the first day, we don't forget about it. Because if we forget about it, it's going to be another 6 months before we're reminded
yeah.
about it.
Good
So,
point.
just some things to think about. That's kind of how we handle some of the really annoying tasks that nobody wants to do that only pop up like every once in a while. So, just a tip on an easy way to make sure your people are getting it done or that you're getting it done.
Yeah. You when you are the people, make sure that you're getting it done
Yeah.
because you get busy. Like you get busy on a day that comes up, and you're like, oh, I didn't have time to get to that. Then tomorrow comes, you're onto something else as a business owner, and
Yep.
you're gonna forget. So that's a great tip, Andy. I didn't even think about that.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, because ultimately, if you've got SOPs that you're handing over to a gap auditor, and you're saying, on here it says I clean this every 6 months, and then they say, okay, show me the records, and you decide to skip it that one time, you know, they're gonna be, well, there's no evidence of you ever cleaning this floor
Yeah.
drain that nobody wants to clean. So things like that, you just got to make sure you've got that stuff documented, and you can't falsify records either, because it's the last
Ooh.
thing you want to get caught doing. So you better darn well make sure you're putting true information into that system, which is why I don't let you guys delete anything after it's added. Everybody always
He's
complains about that. Well, I added something by accident. Well, not my problem. I can't take it out because it's an official record. So
he,
that's why
he
some
is
of that stuff
protecting
is
us.
undeletable. Yeah, literally. I'm making sure your records are accurate, because the last thing you want to do is get caught deleting a record or any of that kind of stuff. Then that looks real bad.
Very bad.
Audit trail. That's what they call it.
Yeah.
Audit trail for a reason.
Yeah, that's huge in like the food industry, food service. You got to have that audit trails to say when you clean this stuff and you clean your records. I
Yep.
always done everything on paper back when I was working in restaurants. We didn't have the fancy programs and things on tablets, everything else. I always tried to get the owners to go to that stuff, but they never did. So we always had stacks of papers. They're deep
Oh
stacks of
man.
paper of stuff of cleaning records. And once everything was done, then you got to go through that when the health department comes in, or Stereotech mainly. Stereotech was the
Yeah.
health department on steroids, if you don't know what they are, and you pay for them to come in to tell you you're doing everything wrong. Uh, so they're always fun when
Wow.
they come in, and they really dive through every record. They're there for a few hours, unlike the health department comes in for 30 minutes to an hour, checks you, and they're gone. Ceratec was a beast. So having it all digitally on in the farm flow system is huge, that you can just have that there and you don't have to go find the papers and make sure somebody didn't lose a paper or something else. And then you get written up and then you get fined by Stereotech, even though you pay them, then they find you. Yeah, it's a really weird system. Um, so,
Typical
yeah,
government program.
yes, they're awesome. So speaking about protecting yourself, insurance. So we briefly talked about it earlier, but you want to make sure you have some insurance in your business. At minimum, that food liability insurance. If you're in your home, you don't need any other kind of business insurance really, but food liability insurance. If you've got a facility, you're going to want to get business insurance. It's going to cover the building as well, and anybody
Yep.
that's working in that building. Say somebody, you hire an employee and they trip and fall and they twist their ankle. Now, who's responsible for that? You got to pay for them. So you got to make sure you have some business insurance for that. So we got to make sure of that. Some grocery stores and distributors are going to want some insurance policy and be listed on it. Most likely, like a flip insurance is going to work. You may have to up your number. You may have to go from 1 million to 2 million or something like that. But generally, that's going to cover it. Have you run into any distributors or grocery stores wanting additional insurance?
Yeah. Unfortunately, the one that we worked on for about a year and a half to try and get into, they required $5 million in
Ooh,
insurance, which was
wow.
$5,000 a year.
Wow.
Which was super fun. So I was pursuing these guys for a year and a half. I got the insurance all set up. The guy that I was working with leaves the company.
Mm,
And so I had a heck of a time. I mean, we got nowhere. I was reaching out to him. I was like, "Hey, everything's in your system. We already did all the paperwork. We got all the insurance. Let's get going." And they're like, "Wait, who are you?" I'm like, "You got to be kidding me, dude." So
oh man.
yeah, we started completely from scratch and ended up just not working out. So I ended up canceling that insurance and putting it down to where I actually needed to be. So expecting a nice fat check coming here pretty soon for
No,
the difference in what my insurance now costs versus what it did
that's good
back
that you
then. Because we
changed
did
it.
pay
You
that.
need it. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Because we paid that 5,000 not too long ago. So to renew it for another year. So that whole job cost me probably 7 or 8 grand when it's all said and done. And we got nowhere. So
And nothing off of it.
yay. Yeah. So
That
good
is a
times.
problem when you're
Just
dealing with
worked out.
bigger companies sometimes, that people are going to leave.
Yeah.
Even grocery stores, the directors leave, the produce managers leave, all that,
Yep.
you're going to have to deal with that kind of things. That's when you're getting into that. Yeah. And distributors are probably even worse, I'm assuming.
Oh yeah, yeah, they're far worse. I mean, and they're challenging, because their requirements are insane. I mean, what they
Yes.
actually make you do, the paperwork you have to fill out, the insurance level that some of them require you to have. Obviously, a lot of them require you to be GAP certified or higher to even walk in the door. But they can be great accounts, if you can get them in and keep them happy and all that fun stuff. But obviously, they're all about bottom line, when it boils down to it. So they don't really have much loyalty to you as a grower ultimately.
No.
So that's one thing that's a challenge. I mean, that's why like we've started kind of migrating away from pushing those as much as trying to get more restaurants and grocery stores and people that we know are going to be a lot more reliable, just because of that. So that's the main reason. But I mean, they can be phenomenal accounts. You get 2 or 3 of those and you're set, but all it takes is losing one and you're not set all of a sudden
Yes.
in one phone call. So it can get interesting. They're a crazy bunch to work with, but you definitely don't want to just do distributors. You would pull your hair out
Yeah. Yeah.
because
And
they can
yeah,
be a
and you could
nightmare.
lose one. You could lose one this week and the second one next week, and then you have nothing. So you definitely don't want to
Yep.
make that all your business.
Yeah.
Diversify,
Yeah.
diversify, diversify.
Yep.
Um,
100%.
Other insurance, obviously is Flip, Campbell Risk Management, Next. Them are ones you can look at. We use Flip, but and make sure when you're going to these insurance companies, they list you as Microgreens or raw agriculture product and not a
Yeah.
Sprouts, because that's going to change how much they're going to charge you. You don't want to be in that Sprout category, and most of them don't know that. So
And the funny thing is, a lot of the bigger for farms at all, I
yeah,
found. Like when we had to get the quote for that giant policy, I called around to a couple other local people and like State Farm, places like that, they wouldn't touch it with a 10-foot pole, because they're like, "Oh, we can't do that. We don't do farms." I'm like, "Why the heck not?" Doesn't make any sense. So thankfully, the place we have our car insurance, they do farms, which is good. But I don't think they do them directly. I think they kind of third party sourced it, to get it going. But there's nothing wrong with Flip and Next and all those guys.
yeah,
I love my insurance company. I've been with them since I was 16. The owners literally gave me Keyman insurance for an entire year for free, because I've been with them for so long, which is cool. So if something were to
nice.
happen to me, God forbid, then my wife gets given a good chunk of money that can then take care of any of the outstanding bills we would have for the business and to be able to potentially pay the employees,
Nice.
to get them taken care of as well. So if I were to pass away, unfortunately, then the business would be royally screwed. So that's really what it boils down to, is to make sure that all gets taken care of, through Keyman Insurance. But they were nice enough to give it to me for a year, so that's why I stay with those guys. So they treat me really well. But yeah, I mean, don't feel like you have to be loyal to your car insurance place. I just choose to be.
If you find somebody taking care of you, stay with them, for
Yeah,
sure. But don't be loyal to somebody who's not taking care of you, just because you're paying
yeah.
the bill. So yeah,
Well, I know places like Flip have better, options. Like you can go in and easily add new companies to your
yes,
policy and stuff like that. I have to call, then they have to email me the policy, and then I got to email it over to them. So it's a little bit slower, but these guys take care of me. So usually I have it within half an hour at the most. So it's really not bad, but
yeah, that did make
there
it
are
easy.
advantages.
When moving
Yeah.
into here, that you could just go and online add them, you give it to the landlord, and you're good to go. You ain't got to
Yep.
wait any
Yep.
time. So that is nice.
Yeah. It definitely works out good.
All right. We didn't want to dive too deep into all of this stuff. We want to give you guys a headline overview, and I know it's probably not the most exciting topic to talk about. So we did a little bit of a deep dive, but obviously we go deeper in the coaching program. Andy can go deeper in his coaching and his one-on-ones and stuff as well. But we wanted to get a quick overview, but a little bit of a deep dive, but not too overwhelming. Because this ain't the most enjoyable topic to talk about, but something we have to talk about. So,
Yep.
if you get any of these hiccups and everything else, obviously make sure you reach out to one of us and we can help you out. And if you want to take advantage of that 197 offer that we have going on, you can check out the link in the description, in the comments, and we will see you guys later. Andy, you got any remarks?
No, I think just, the biggest key thing is just making sure you're protected. Get the liability insurance at a minimum. Ideally, you're also getting an LLC or something that you're protected even further. It's very important, especially when you're putting food literally into people's bodies, to have that protection just in case, and then back it up by doing everything you're supposed to do with cleaning and sanitizing. That's definitely a big piece of it too. And if you do all those things, you'll be totally fine. You won't have any issues. But that's definitely important to have all those safeguards in place just in case.
For sure. And before we go for this episode of the podcast, I want to go ahead and bring up and thank our harvest members. These are everybody at the $9.99 level. Mark, Thomas, Jennifer, Microzone, Hoffman's Choice, John, Panos, Detroit Mike, which is always here early commenting. Thank you, Detroit Mike. I think we need to update the months here a little bit, but Sundry, Arizona, and our newest one, Jason Humphrey, as well on here. Just joined the other day. So thank you guys all, and thank all of our members of the channel. Remember, you get all the videos first and some special benefits in that as well. And again, we thank you guys, and we will see you in the next one. And on to the Q&A. If you guys got any questions, go ahead and put them in the chat, and we will do a giveaway tonight as well. So make sure you go ahead and put in hashtag Thumbcast, and we will get into any questions you got in at least 30 minutes if you guys got questions, and we'll get all the members' questions in. And if we got time for everybody else, we will get that in as well.
Yeah, and obviously you guys probably know this by now, but just in case you don't, the questions don't have to be related to the content of the video. Feel free to ask questions about whatever, how to grow certain varieties, how to, whatever. It's just about making you guys, have access to really good information. So it doesn't matter if it's a question about the stuff we just talked about, because I know it's kind of boring. And most of you guys probably already have that stuff in place already.
Yes.
Hopefully. Whoa.
Yeah, that was a different
New
one.
sound.
Yeah.
I added another sound. Keep you guys on your toes.
I didn't even know about that sound.
Yeah, it's like the bell rang and then somebody whiffed when they were trying to punch the other guy.
The fight is on.
All right. Not a lot of questions tonight. I think you guys were like overwhelming them with all of this lovely insurance talk. But I do have one from Free Flow Garden. Question: how many racks big do you think you could comfortably build up to handle in a 1,360 square foot workspace?
Is that just going to be the racks for growing, or is it everything? That's good.
It's also going to be dependent on the layout.
Yeah.
If it's more square, you can get way more racks in than if it's something like long and narrow. So yeah, we'd have to almost see like, or even just describe like what's the size, depth, and length of the place, or depth and width, and then that can hopefully kind of give us an idea. But yeah, for the most part, I mean, you figure, huh?
Go ahead. I was going to say rack only takes up 6 square feet each rack. So
yeah, yeah. It's not much. I mean, you got
square old florist shop. Ooh,
everything is square.
Oh, that's nice. 1360. Well, you figure, I mean, every rack's going to be 4 feet long. 1360. So what is that square? I don't know. I'll do some math in the background.
I think I'm going to say somewhere between, with everything else you got to put in there, I would say you're going to get somewhere between 100 to 125 racks.
That might be pushing
it. I mean, assuming
I'd say it's probably going to be close to 100.
Yeah.
You're about, it's roughly, the square root is 36. 36.8. So we'll just go with 36. So you figure, if you went from wall to wall, which I would not recommend,
No,
No,
space
you're
against
gonna
off the
be,
wall.
that's
so you're going
9.
to be about
But
4 racks going across, if I'm not mistaken. So it'd be 32 of your 36 feet. So 4 racks going across. You're going to want about 1.5 feet between each rack at least to be able to walk down between. And that would be 2. So every 3.5 feet, roughly. 3.5. So
Sounds right.
36 divided by 3.5.
Andy's over here doing
You'll have
math.
about 10 rows. Yeah, you can probably get about 40 in there comfortably
I
if I'm
think you're
doing my
half
math
of,
right.
I think you're looking at 80. I think you did half as many wide. So you could go 9 wide on 36 feet. 9 times 4 feet wide. So
Yeah, but you need room to be able to walk.
overrated. Well, I was saying 8.
8. I would
You
say
could do an
8.
8.
Yeah, I guess you could do 8. Yeah. So
Yeah.
it'd be 8 times whatever I just said,
80.
10
3.5.
rows, 80.
So 80.
Yeah. So yeah, it's not bad. I mean, you got to consider room for harvest tables and storage and soil and all that fun stuff. But yeah, it's not too bad. You could cram 80 in there. It'd be
You could
tight.
It'd be tight.
You could do about $25,000 to $30,000 in that space a week.
Oh, easily.
Easily
Yeah.
inside,
If you fill
so-
that space.
Yeah.
Yep. If you fill that space with 10-day grows, man, and rotate the whole farm, you'd be
Yep.
good.
All right. It says, certainly. Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right. And
Yeah,
then we
no
have
problem.
a nice little flow of questions here. So
But I definitely would just go back that real
Oh, yeah.
quick. I would get a piece of paper, graph paper or something, lay that out,
Yeah.
measure it all out, put your little racks in there and paper, whatever the size comes out to be, and lay it out all the way that you want to do it. And make sure you don't forget, your seed storage, your soil storage, your place to harvest, place to pack, all that stuff.
Yep.
Place to play, so make sure you get all that in there. A cooler, someplace to store stuff. So, yeah, play with it, make sure it works out. But rough guesstimates here that from Andy. So don't take that to heart that that's 100% or anything.
for sure.
Yeah. It's definitely not guaranteed to be accurate. I mean,
Yes.
you may find and that was just based on if you did single rows of 8, going
Yeah.
all the way across. You could do double rows of 8 and have a lot more potentially. But yeah, definitely draw it up. And we tend to do it in Photoshop or whatever. Just, we map it out and then we basically just do an inch per foot, is essentially how we work out the math. So it's just a lot. We're not having to create a humongous graphic. I'm trying to bring up an
Andy's freezing a little bit there, but
actual graphic here in Photoshop. It's taking freaking forever to look like that we drew up for the space that we're getting ready to move into.
and it's slowing you down over there, I think.
Get it open here.
So while he's trying to open that up, I think he's going to be frozen.
Yeah, I
just a
kind of
little
figured it
bit,
would. Unfortunately.
Yeah. So I
Yeah,
think that's
Photoshop definitely
computer
eats up
usage
some-
over there.
Oh yeah. Adobe loves memory.
Be a while before he got
Yes,
that
it
green.
does.
Yes. It takes a while.
It
Yes.
definitely does.
All right. Any other questions while
All
Andy's
right.
trying to pull that up?
Come on,
Guys?
thing.
All right. So
Doesn't help that
random
I've got too many monitors.
question.
Always
What's your favorite microgreen recipe?
like
Uh-huh.
this microgreens or like with using it with something?
What's your favorite microgreen recipe?
Oh man.
My favorite is sunflowers in butter pecan ice cream.
Yeah.
That's where I would start. There's
Ooh.
many.
That sounds good.
It is very good. And you're eating healthy while you're eating ice cream, right? So, but my favorite is this. I mean,
Yeah. They totally cancel each other out.
yeah. My favorite is this: eating a salad with like a grilled chicken on top of it. A little like.
All right, let's see if this
vinaigrette
works.
dressing. All right, Andy's got that up.
Ooh, nice.
All right, so yeah, so this is kind of a general idea. This is actually the space that we're going to be moving into. So every single one of these red rectangles you see is all an actual microgreen rack. We've also got our sink and our hand washing stations and everything up top here. And then the center section is actually where our harvest tables are going to be. So, you can see we left enough room to be able to walk around and walk between the racks, walk out to this back door, walk into the office, things like that. So you have to keep that in mind as you're laying out your space. But this kind of give you at least a rough idea, of what something like that might look like when you're drawing it up. So yeah, just figured I'd share that. All right, now I can close Photoshop and hopefully speed up my computer.
All right.
All right, cool. So yeah, let's give you an idea what you can draw up. So, and I know Joe, has recently done some stuff like that too, as far as layouts and stuff for his new space that he's got set up. So
yes, you always want to draw it out and make sure it makes sense on paper before you commit to anything. When you get into the space, it's probably going to change, but you got a rough guesstimate of going in and what you're going to do and everything else. But
sure.
It's not bad. I mean, it's definitely worth doing because it will give you a reality check. When we drew up the space that we're in now, it's a really long and narrow space and our racks are running this way. So we can't go 4 deep. I'm sorry, we can't. Yeah. Is that right? Yeah. We can only go 3 deep. So we don't have enough room to go 4 deep, which is what you really want to be able to do. Cause then you can hook up 8 racks to 1 outlet. So we're actually limited on the amount of racks that we're able to actually plug into 1 plug because of that, so that's why like something square or a lot more rectangle-ish is a lot better, closest to square as possible if you can. It's just, it lays out so much better.
Yes.
Farm flow mapper feature. Yeah, that would be cool.
All right.
Yeah, it would be nice.
That would be fun. Could be fun. Jennifer says, have you found any new tips around having your business? Not sure. Are we talking?
Tips?
I'm not sure what you mean by that.
Can you elaborate on that, Jennifer? Because I'm not sure exactly what that is.
Yeah. Side note, where do you get the buckets to store the seeds?
You can just get your buckets at the local hardware store, Menards.
Menards has a food grade.
Has a food grade bucket and a gamma lid they sell as well. And we actually just store the seeds. We don't take them out of the bag like from True Leaf or Greener Harvest. We just set the bag in the 5-gallon bucket. And so it's still in the bag. And then we just put the lid on it just for extra protection. So you don't have to worry about closing that up. It gets a little bit better. You could just store them right in the bags. But I love the buckets just putting in there a gamma lid on top. Just gives that little extra storage, but keeping them in the bag.
Yeah, we just get ours on Amazon. I'm actually going to try and find the link to ours. We've tried a couple different gamma lid buckets, and the funny thing is the ones that are actually cheaper are better, which is rare. Yeah. That's usually not the case. So we found, because ultimately with gamma lids, the problem is the lid. It's like some of them absolutely suck when it comes to screwing on and off effectively. So we really like these a lot, and it's a 4-pack. Trying to slowly get this put in there.
Yeah, we went to Menards and got them just because we could get them locally, and they were cheaper.
Yeah, and they're the Gamma 2 lids,
and
the Gamma 2 seem to work better than the original Gammas.
Yeah, I don't know if that's what these are, but we did try a couple different ones, and we found that these were just significantly better. You can literally just unscrew them with one hand. The whole thing comes right off.
Right
it's
off.
so nice. Yeah, so
the
nice.
OG gamma lids are not so nice.
No, they're not. They're very, and the worst part with those is you'll get sometimes when you're filling seed, the seeds will get statically charged and they kind of stick to everything. And then when you go to screw the lid down, they get stuck in the threads. So it just makes it 10 times worse when you're trying to open that stupid lid. So we find that these don't do it, the ones that we use. I love them. Yeah. So I would highly recommend those lids. If you can't find something local at your local store that's food safe, that's the big thing. You want to make sure you get food safe bins for sure. I'm sorry, buckets.
Yeah, bins, buckets. Same.
Oh man, I miss Menards. Don't have them near us for buckets. Yeah.
Firehouse,
Firehouse subs the food. Hey, pickle buckets work great too.
Yeah.
We love a good pickle bucket. Get mine from Home Depot. Yep, they also have them. Perfect.
Yep. Yeah, and if you're gonna go buy them locally, just test screwing the lid on and off. I mean, you should be able to just flick your wrist and that thing goes all the way down, and flick your wrist and it comes all the way back up. If it gives you any resistance at all, move to a different bucket because that doesn't sound like that big of a deal, but it will be when you're opening and closing those buckets all the time. It's a real pain in the butt. So get good buckets.
Yes.
It's worth it.
For sure. Joe says, who do you all follow for business, not microgreen specific, but coaching? For business coaching.
I don't follow anybody.
Grant
I
Cardone.
should, but I don't.
I don't have anybody that I currently following, but I've had mentors in my past lives, mainly restaurants, some insurance stuff I was in and stuff like that have taught me a lot of things in business before I got into this business. So, but there's nobody like I'm paying right now or doing anything else that's for business coaching. But I do have some numbers of people that I can call if I get in a spot that I need help from previous relationships. So there's nobody that I'm paying or anybody that I have as a mentor that, necessarily, but I have people that I can call from past lives. So.
Yeah. I mean, I'm in some business networking groups,
Yeah.
in my local area. So I have access to a lot of other local business owners, but I'm not paying any of them to get advice or anything. I just ask them questions if I have any. But for the most part, like this isn't my first rodeo with having a business. I've had several in the past. So it's kind of like a new thing, only in the fact that I'm growing microgreens versus what I've been doing before.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's not anything new. I mean, I've never had employees. Don't get me wrong. We never had to hire anybody prior to having this. We never had commercial space prior to having this. So it's been nice to have access to people like that. You can do that through like a chamber of commerce. The one I'm in is called BNI. I don't know what BNI stands for, but what's cool is like, yeah, one would think it's business networking something. I don't know for sure.
Yeah.
But the nice thing is like, it's a huge, like worldwide thing. So I can reach out to any of those people because you're part of that membership, where a chamber of commerce is going to be more just local people for the most part. So it's kind of nice to have access to folks that are larger than us, but we're actually, believe it or not, the number one rated, like by far, the amount of money that we've made inside of our little business networking group, last year and the year before, we were number one in the country, which is crazy to think in little tiny Cecil County, Maryland, but works out.
So Andy's the leader of that group, guys. So if you're in that group,
yeah,
Andy.
yeah, because I have all the time in the world to do something like that. I don't even make it in person half the time.
Yeah, I never have time to make it to any of that stuff. So I'm not part of any of them groups right now, just because I don't have time.
Yeah.
The
one I go to, the nice thing, it's 7:30 in the morning. So we're done by 9 o'clock, which is really nice. And we start harvesting on that same day. So I'm already in the shop. I just do it online and then I go right to work. So it works out nice.
Yeah, I was part of a Rotary group that we met at like 7:30 in the morning in previous times. And that was nice. Get it done, get it over with, move on to the day.
Yep. Yeah. That's it.
All right. Music Jewel. Have you ever grown microgreens using the sun? Just curious compared to the T8 bulbs.
I have not, just because I know the inconsistency of it. Where we live in the Midwest, the sunlight's not, it's going to be bright in July. It's going to grow really fast, and December is going to grow really slow. And just, we wanted to be consistent with it. Same product, same stuff all the time. But it can be done. Yeah. It's just, you got to know the inconsistency of the seasons, just like traditional farming.
Yeah. If you're growing for yourself, it's a whole lot easier because they don't really have to worry about how long it takes for the stuff to grow. But if you're growing commercially, where you're expected to have the same amount week after week after week, it's very tough. Yeah. That's why we use the lights, because that way you can give consistent lighting, consistent temperature, consistent humidity, all that stuff. And that way you're getting roughly the same product week after week.
Yeah. All right. Let's see.
And we're getting ready to do the giveaway here in 15 minutes or so, guys. We do appreciate if you do stick around for the giveaway. That way you can tell us how many times to spend and everything else, give you the giveaway information. So please be here and stick around if you're going to be here for the giveaway.
Yes, it makes my life easier because I know how many times to click the button. Oh no, Jennifer Fulco says, I just found out I may need to move after moving. The mill I grow in is having heating issues. We've been told to replace the heat. They're looking at $800,000 to replace it with a laughing face, because that is not going to happen. I'm sure.
Wow.
Joe mentioned that was.
Man.
Are you leasing that space?
I'm doing okay with Govee heater and able to keep it current at 75. Also keeping lights on at night. Fingers crossed, maybe limp through February and March. Yeah.
My question is, if you are leasing that place, you shouldn't be required to replace the heating.
Yeah.
And the HVAC system.
They should be getting that done as soon as they can, because I mean, you're paying rent to be there. That's like a landlord's problem.
Yeah. Wow.
So if you're leasing that place, I definitely would be forcing them to get that done.
Yeah, 100%.
Our move.
Our move.
And then, you can basically get out of your lease because they didn't hold up their bargain.
Yeah. Grunk McGrunk says, Andy, you grow in Maryland, but you sell in Maryland and Delaware. Do you need inspections from both states?
Nope. Nope. As long as Maryland is happy with what I'm doing, then the other states don't really care.
Yep.
I mean, it's part of what insurance and things like that will cover, which is why some of the places require that to make sure that you are at least, growing to a certain extent and certain level. That's also why like distributors in places will require GAP certification and, because then you're proving that you're doing things the right way, essentially. So yeah, but all we have to worry about is Maryland, and then everybody else is taken care of.
Yeah, we sell across state lines, no problems. As long as you got state stuff taken care of, you're okay.
Yeah, and most neighboring states work together like that. So
the only thing you run into nowadays, since they have cottage food stuff out license, you cannot do a cottage food license and sell something across state lines. So if you were making something in your home, like you were making a microgreen salt, which would fall underneath the cottage food license, you can't go sell that across state lines.
Yeah.
But other than that, if you're doing agriculture projects, you're fine.
Jennifer says she's month to month 400 I included. Yeah. So
yeah, they should be.
That's definitely not on you then.
They should be taking care of that.
And that's really cheap for that rent. So you're lucky.
I would try to force them to take that to fix it, but I would be doing everything I could to stay with that rent dollar.
Right.
So, right. You don't even want to know.
Yeah, that's very cheap.
We don't want to talk about that. Let's see. I know I have more. Joe asks, is the space you have been prepping, did you get all the legal hiccups sorted out, or is this another new space? Andy.
It's the same space we've been talking about for a bit. We were able to get through it wasn't really legal hiccups as much as it just was them kind of trying to rent me a place that wasn't what I was looking for address wise. Since it didn't exist. But we're through most of that. The landlords have reached out to me through their commercial guy, their property manager, and all that stuff. So basically, like they're going to help me with some projects financially in exchange for me staying on board. So I'm getting quotes on like putting the ceiling in and all that kind of stuff, which was an unexpected expense. So hopefully by the end of this week, I'll have some quotes on all that stuff, which it should be the end of this week, no problem. And then they're going to be able to help me with some of that stuff, whether it's them shelling out all the money and then me just adding it onto whatever the lease is divided amongst the 5 years that we're there, or them just giving me cash in hand that we can put towards the project. I don't know what that's going to be yet, but it's all part of the kind of initial negotiations at this point. So, but yeah, they definitely want to keep me there. They really love what we're doing. They think it's exciting, so now it's just a matter of getting through that process, but they're going to help me out, which is good because that's pretty much what we needed.
Yeah, that's good. I'm glad to hear that that's working out, because I knew you already put some work in that place and then have to try and maybe get out of it. That's be a pain. Like,
yeah, it looks a million times better in there right now. A million times better. So yeah,
awesome.
Always fun. Commercial space is always a joy. I would recommend anybody who's even considering it, spend the money on coaching with me or Mike, who have been down that road, especially, not trying to say me versus Mike, but I've been down the much harder version of it. So I can tell you, it's worth spending that $100 or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah. We've done lease negotiations with restaurants primarily in the past. So we do a lot of the things to look for when we were looking at this space.
Yep. Yeah. So definitely, use our knowledge, use what we've dealt with and what we've gone through to your advantage to not have to deal with the same things. I mean, it's worth the money. I mean, you'd be stupid not to. If I could have gone and spent $100 on somebody to have me educated completely on what the process would look like, that seems like a pretty cheap way to do it versus signing a 5-year lease that you're committed to $3,000+ a month on that you can't get out of. So,
and it makes sense. You can't even grow in it because it's not the right thing and everything else. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, it would have been a giant step in the wrong direction. So, we're still not through the woods yet. I mean, they haven't totally agreed to anything at this point. It's just a matter of, we're in talks of that at the moment. So, we'll see how it plays out.
Yeah, till money changes hands or things in writing, it's not done.
Yep, exactly.
For sure. Lori Crowley, welcome. What is the fastest growing arugula?
No,
radish.
Radishes, yeah.
Yeah, you can harvest radish in 7 days. I mean, not an issue. So I think that's our fastest one. Yeah, wheatgrass does go pretty fast too. But I think radish overall.
Yeah, radish is our favorite grow. I mean, it's just amazing. And in Coco Loco, we get 22 ounces, 20 to 22 ounces, 24 ounces sometimes out of it. It's an amazing product and a great profit product. I just need to get more people to eat it.
Yeah. Yep.
Music Jewel asks, do you feed any of the greens to your pets? Mine love the peas.
What kind of pets?
Cats love wheatgrass.
Cats love wheatgrass. So
Yeah, I mean, we literally have subscriptions
yeah,
that are 100% pet driven. Like the people don't even eat them; they feed them to their ducks or to their rabbits or to their gerbils or whatever. I mean, it's the
Bearded
weirdest thing.
dragon. Bearded dragons.
Yeah,
Yeah.
bearded dragons. That's another really popular one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, all we have is a dog. We don't feed our dog that because it's just not that big of a deal. We usually eat it for what it comes down to. But I know you guys have chickens. You give them to your chickens and stuff like that.
Yeah, they get the scraps.
Yeah, the chickens are spoiled. They don't like peas, usually. They think they're like, the pea mats are for like stepping mats. They wipe their feet on them. That's it.
Yeah. But
But
our
other than
dog
that-
has a pretty sensitive stomach. So it's kind of like one of those things
Yeah.
where if
Don't
it's
wanna risk
working,
it.
don't break it.
Right.
Yeah, not worth taking the chance.
For
I mean,
sure.
we do give them good food, but it's always tough to introduce something just in case.
Yeah. Christina asks, what techniques do you do to get the seed hulls to fall off fenugreek and cilantro? Those are my hardest and what my restaurants want the most of course.
Cilantro, cover it for Bakelite will help out tremendously, and let it germinate for 7 days.
Yeah.
So it
And get
pushes a lot of
split
that off.
seed.
Yes, and split seed.
Yeah, get
Yes.
split seed. 100%. I mean, I made that mistake. I learned the hard way. I didn't reach out to ask about it, and now I've got a whole bag of stupid regular cilantro
Oh.
seed.
You go
that I'm
get a rolling pin.
slowly. Yeah, that's one option you can do. That's definitely one option you can do. But I've never grown fenugreek. I haven't tried that one.
No, we've not done that either. But I'm assuming it's probably somewhere similar to cilantro.
Joe asked her if she had
Yeah.
tried Robert Meredith's method. Yep.
Yeah. Yep.
The pro of
Yeah,
cilantro.
Robert's the king when it comes to growing cilantro. That man
grows
grows
enough of it.
hundreds of trays of cilantro. Yeah. It's insane.
All right. Music Jewel has dogs. So yeah, peas are an awesome one for
Gotcha.
dogs. My mom's dog, the Bridget, likes the sunflowers.
Hmm.
She's
She's a little rat dog.
Yeah.
Though. We're in
Tiny
Captain's dog.
thing.
But just obviously do research to make sure what you're feeding the dogs is safe for them to eat. I mean, heavily research that just in case, God forbid you give them like arugula or something and then they end up dying as a result of it. I don't know. I mean, could be good for dogs. I have no clue, but just do the
Yeah.
research for sure.
Before you feed your animal something, make sure it's right for them.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm out of questions, boys.
Out of questions. All right.
What?
Wow. Still got 5 minutes left.
No.
You don't usually run out
That's
of
never
questions.
happened.
Everybody's it's divisional Sunday, so everybody's
Yeah.
watching the football game.
Football.
I guess.
Yeah, that's true.
Let's check.
Good.
Check
I'm
this.
glad to see that music, Joel.
Good.
I kind of figured it went without saying, but I just want to make sure in
Okay.
case somebody wasn't thinking about that.
Looks like Kansas City's gonna
You are
win.
very welcome.
Oh,
The first half of the prediction of the script is writing. So. Oh no, that's
Gotta have that
against
Taylor Swift Super Bowl.
hold on.
No, that's
Uh-huh.
again. That's the new script. The new script is that it's going to be Kansas City versus Detroit. So that way, Taylor Swift and Eminem are at the Super Bowl.
God. Oh man.
So Detroit, Mike, congratulations! It looks like Detroit's going to win.
Oh, guess she can't see the questions on here. Oh, am I missing questions on your group, Andy?
I don't know. I haven't been watching it.
Yeah, it usually shows up.
They usually show, but I'm not seeing. I just saw that, but I haven't seen any of
We
his
got
other.
2 people over in your group, Andy. So on your Facebook. So I don't know if there's
There.
questions showing up or not.
Yeah, I'll check it out real quick.
Well, that one came up, so you should be able. to
Yeah, that's what I was like.
Yeah, I
didn't
mean,
see
I
question.
didn't even see the
I'm
live
scrolling up.
post on my group at all.
Oh no.
Oh, I think it was asking earlier, like about Gap.
Oh,
Gap.
Gap. I put that in the chat. It was Gap. Good agricultural practices. I thought that maybe it
Oh,
was
yeah.
that one because I answered that one in the chat.
Yep, Gap. GAP.
And also, and Justin, you did hashtag thumb drive.
Oh.
You definitely want to
no.
make sure change that to hashtag thumbcast.
We're not driving.
I just noticed that.
Casting.
Yeah, but I think she got all the questions. It was just that Gap thing. and if you didn't see it, Justin, a couple weeks ago, we had Carol Allen from the University of Maryland on. I think it was the first one of the new year, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep.
So go check that podcast out. She goes into heavy detail about Gap, and I think even a couple episodes prior to that, we went pretty heavy into it ourselves too. So go check those out. It has a lot of good information. Reach out to Carol as well. Oh, Detroit Mike, you're the man.
Thank you,
Give
Detroit
somebody
Mike.
else a
Yes.
yeah.
Congrats, Marla.
So Marla just got the free membership.
Hey.
And
That's
probably
awesome.
later this week, guys, at some point. It's either this week, probably later this week. I'll do it later this week. We're going to do a members only stream. So be on the lookout for that.
Yeah, you'll see a post in the
Nice.
community tab with the day on that. Hey. Let's see. Oh, I see another question. Free Flow Garden. Andy, if you like Tool, check out the Elephant Revival Schism cover. It's good.
Oh, interesting.
Hmm.
Nice. And I'll tell you another really cool band that I kind of discovered on YouTube is a band called Brass Against. They do fully like brass instrument versions of awesome songs. They do a ton of Tool songs. Phenomenal. I mean, it's just the coolest thing. And Tool actually had them on a tour. They found out about them and they brought them on their Europe tour. I think it was last year, and which was really cool. So yeah, they have a couple of really amazing singers that sing the lyrics, obviously, but the whole thing is all done with brass instruments and a drum kit. It's amazing. So I can't recommend them enough. Brass Against is what they're called. Very cool band. And they have tons of awesome YouTube videos. So definitely check them out if you're a Tool person.
Cool. Lori Crowley asks, would you consider expanding by exploring aquaponics?
Probably not. That's a whole thing.
You don't want to do.
Then you got fish you got to keep alive. Yeah, I mean it's way more complicated than it needs to be. And plus, it's like something you almost have to do. You could probably do it indoors, but I don't know how easy it would be to have a fish tank, a large fish tank inside. That's usually something typically that are done like in outdoor gardening, but I could be wrong.
I think
you can do aquaponics indoors and stuff. But
Jens was doing aquaponics. It's
more challenge. There's other things to deal with. It does really make things change. You can use fish and they can eat the stuff, and they fertilize, and it's awesome. But you do have a lot more to worry about.
Yeah.
I don't have a great track record at keeping fish alive. There's that too. Yeah. All right, kids. Let's do a giveaway. We got down to 20 seconds.
Well, we got a Facebook user.
One question. Facebook user. How do you get your name out there? Is advertising big? Where should I start? That's a lot.
Yeah.
We started on Facebook is where we started advertising. Although I'm not a biggest fan of Meta /Facebook, especially right now, but that's a whole other subject. But Facebook is the easiest way to reach people. That's where majority of the population's at. Facebook, Instagram, and it's an easy place to advertise and fairly cheap for what your returns are. We have a whole thing in our course how to teach you how to advertise on Facebook, Instagram as well. So if you check out our course, you can get that. I'm sure Andy has similar experiences.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, if you haven't created a page, do that first.
Yeah,
and then using that page, you can join local Facebook groups, like local, like your actual cities and counties and things that are around you, and then just start posting in there. Keep in mind, obviously, they're going to have rules for the group. Some may not allow you to post anything for sale. Some may only allow you to do it once a week, once a month. So just make sure you keep in those rules, because they will delete your posts or they'll kick you out. I know if you try and sell anything in my group, I'm kicking you out. I don't care who it is. So because I'm trying to keep it, just microgreen driven, unless you've posted a bunch of times and then all of a sudden you decide to sell something. But if your very first post ever is to push your plastic trays that you make in some other part of the world or something, then you're gone. I don't even worry about it. But yeah, that's your best bet. Just get in some local groups. It's an easy way to get kind of initial traction locally, at least. Yeah, that's definitely a good place to start, I would say. And Music Tool, I did see your one comment about Chocolate Chip Trip, and I definitely know that song. It's an awesome song from their new album from like 15 years ago. Don't come out with it very often.
Yeah. Detroit Mike says, I've learned in this business, if you ever need time to yourself, all you need to do is say, anybody want to help wash trays?
Where'd everybody go?
Everybody vanishes just like that.
That's
Yep.
funny.
Good stuff.
It
I have
happens
somebody-
too if you reach out to people and say, hey, anybody want to come help me paint this new space or help me
Yeah.
run wiring for electric? And yeah, everybody just
Gone.
poof, they're gone.
Crickets. I actually have somebody washing trays right now in another room. So, but I pay him. So,
Yep. Mine all got washed today, thankfully. Usually it's Saturday, but she couldn't come in yesterday. She's like, can I come in Sunday? I was like, sure. It only takes her about 3 hours. She knocks through them quick.
not bad.
Quick.
All right. Right. It's time for do the giveaway, guys. Again, thank you all for hanging out for the Q&A. And again, this Q&A will be taken off and just for members only. And then the rest of this will be on live YouTube later. So become a member if you want to get back into the Q&A stuff. So,
I've got 15 entries so far.
all right. 15, 30
Just
people
get that
watching.
hashtag Thumbcast.
Hashtag
Thumbcast.
Thumbcast.
All you gotta do is post it to the comments and you're in.
You could win
You
6
have a
months
chance to
free
win.
of Farm Flow.
Yeah.
I mean, it's
Like
a big
Thomas
prize.
did last week.
Thomas did
It's
last
a real
week. Yeah.
big prize. Yep.
All
And then
right.
Mario won 3 months a couple weeks ago. So
Wanna go
I've
ahead
already
and
given
bring
away 9 months worth of Farm Flow subscriptions in January.
that- Andy's just giving away subscriptions to Farm
This
Flow.
podcast is bankrupting me. No, I'm just kidding. I enjoy it though. It's fun. It's a good prize.
So 15
Hashtag
entries.
Thumbcast.
There's 30 people watching.
That means 15 of you are not even going to take a chance on winning something. That makes no sense. Try to pick out my winner here. Let's see.
Yes. I'll let Andy go first.
I'm going to go with Mark Barton. Mark
Oh,
Barton's my choice.
All right. I'm going to go with the other Mark. I can't say his
Oh.
name.
Mark versus Mark.
I'm going to go with this Mark.
Oh, Mark versus Mark.
Grisbowski.
Mark
Grisbowski.
showdown.
It's a showdown. Let's see.
All right. I guess nobody else wants to win.
I guess
So-
not. We're still at
Nope.
15.
Still
So
15. All right. Good luck, everybody.
All right. Sorry about your luck. Here we go.
And remember, if you win any number from 1 to 30, put in the chat. Be ready for that so we can spin that wheel right away.
Detroit.
Detroit.
Mike!
Hey, all right.
That's
Yep.
awesome.
That's
Detroit Mike, second time winning. He
Yeah.
wins because he
deserves
shows
it.
up. And he
Yeah, he
gives
shows
stuff
up and
away.
he gives gives memberships away. Karma comes back on him all the time. I love it. He messages me constantly to tell me like, oh my god, I just landed this, I just landed that. And I'm like, it's because you keep giving giveaways, man.
Yep.
That's awesome. Good stuff.
And his daughter won another podcast that we did.
Yeah,
That we gave 2
I
away.
did.
Yep.
Yeah.
So
I never heard from her though.
wow.
And Mike, have her reach out to me. I think she won a one-on-one with me, if I'm not mistaken, but I never heard from her.
Yeah. So that's
Yeah, have
Andy
her
at
reach out
Fresh
to me,
Source Farms.
Just because she doesn't want to use
Yep.
it now, just get her in the queue, right? Just so you know.
Yeah.
She doesn't use it right now.
Yep, she can use it anytime she wants.
Sharing is
Sharing
caring.
is caring. That's right.
All right, Detroit Mike, do you know what you want to spin? Give you a few seconds here.
Yep, just put that number in the chat, Detroit Mike.
Did you see what he said that he likes scrambled eggs and arugula?
Ooh, that sounds good. I did
Oh,
not see
nice.
Yeah.
I've done
We do-
scrambled eggs and broccoli a couple times, and it's really
Yep.
good. But I think
Eggs
it'd
and
be even better with the arugula.
Radishes. Radishes.
Oh yeah,
spicy eggs. All right. He might be on like staring at the game by now.
Well, it's not started
Well,
yet.
it's pregame. Pregame's important
Pregame.
too.
we'll
Can't
just say
see his
"Boo
face.
Lions." That'll get his attention.
Oh yeah, that'll get his attention real fast.
Go
Like, wait, what?
49ers. Oh, nothing? Nothing?
Well, I guess he's
Well,
getting the lucky number 7.
I guess he's getting lucky number 7. Sometimes people's YouTube is delayed, so I'm trying to give it a few moments, but I know that. But we can't wait too long. So, I guess we're going to go with
With?
the number 7. I delayed that as long as I could.
You say, what's the quarterback for the Detroit Lions number? Maybe that's what we need to.
That's what.
Oh,
we need.
Jared
that.
Goff is number 9, ain't he?
Oh, is he 9?
I think so.
check that.
Yeah,
What
I think you should do 9 for Detroit Lions. He'll like that.
I think it's 6. Yeah, 9.
9. Okay.
9? Or is that
Nice.
16? That's not a Lions shirt.
Oh man,
Jared
the
Goff.
Google machine's not working.
16.
It's 16.
It looks like it's 16.
16.
So we're
All
going
right,
16.
Detroit, doing it for your quarterback.
All right. So let me share the spin.
Yeah. A lot of good stuff on there as always. So make sure you guys are here and here for these giveaways because we're just giving stuff away.
Yeah.
Yep.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 6. Okay.
16 clicks on that. Oh,
Oh, stop.
which one? One
Nice.
with Andy.
Awesome.
Congratulations, Mike. So now you got his daughter
Yeah.
and him.
Yeah, I know. Let's knock him out at both times, same time. I'm gonna have to message him so he doesn't even knows he won.
Yeah, he may not still be here. I'm not sure. So yeah, make sure we'll make sure we message him and get that for sure.
Yeah.
Obviously, you can reach out to Andy then at that. Andy, do you want to put that in chat or?
Yeah, I'll put my email in there. All right, Andy at freshsourcefarms.com.
I'm sure.
Yep, so
Alberto says, how
Detroit
do we
Mike,
go
if you're
in?
still on, huh?
Go ahead.
Question.
How do we go in? What does that mean?
I think entering the win. So just
Okay.
doing that hashtag thumbcast.
Oh,
Yeah.
Yep. If you're here
Yep.
next week, we do this every week. We do a giveaway, and you can come on and put in hashtag Thumbcast, and then be here at the end helps out a lot to win. So if you're here, check us out every Sunday, 4:00 Central, 5:00 Eastern Standard Time, and you can figure out from there wherever you're at in the world, and come back and win.
For sure.
Yep.
All right. Any closing statements tonight, guys?
Nope. Like I said, appreciate everybody being here.
yeah, we definitely appreciate it as always, guys. You guys show up week after week, and it makes it awesome for us because we get to help you guys get bigger and better. That's the goal. So we appreciate you all tuning in.
Yep. All right. See you guys next week.
Thanks, guys.
Oh, there's a
Take care,
trivia.
guys.
Oh, Chad,
there he
right?
is.
Oh,
I'm not sure what that
There
is.
might be players on the Lions. I have no idea. Detroit Mike, since you're back, you won a one-on-one with me, man.
Yes.
yes.
All right.
Have a
Didn't
good
even
night.
know it.
guys.
We'll see you
Didn't
guys.
even know it.
See ya.